Hello everyone. Please bear with me for a moment as I try to get all this shared. As I want to get this on the group page over there on Facebook. See, I'm trying to see about the video. I know it takes a minute to go live. Here we are. Got it copied. I want to go let everybody know now. Be back for that. Go share it in the group here. Okay, I think I'm going to be good here. Let me get back to the video. We'll go watch it here. Okay, here we go. All right. This way we have the live chat there. Mute that real quick so we don't get a feedback loop. Bear with me just a little bit more and we will be all the way there. Okay, live comments. I want to be on YouTube. Come on, give me episode 4. Here we go. Live chat. That way I can see the chat and be able to share them over there. All right. I'm just going to do a little exploring until people pop up. If I see anyone pop up, just say, hey, hello. Let me know you're here. Otherwise, I will just kind of explore away. All right. We can do this a couple ways. We'll just jump in here first just to say hi. Hey, everybody. How's everybody? If you're tuning in live, tuning in late, either way, that's just great. Ha. Okay. Sorry, late night silliness. It is not too late here. It's only 9 p.m. here in the studio. And we're just kind of hanging out. We're going to see what happens here. Let's get full screen on this. Oh, maybe not. Perhaps too much. That's a little better. Make it single. Okay. Looks good. Anyway, we got something going here that I've been working on in the past extra hours I got to put on this. And sorry for not sorry, but the reason there's been a little pause or gap in these 48-hour episodes is I just had to get quite a bit of work taken care of and refocus real quick. And I spent, a little time, maybe an hour or two more with this thing, just kind of refining what I was playing with and was making through some of the patterns so we can keep exploring maybe a little more efficiently. Anyway, it's come to using a few of the channels, but today, or this episode, we're going to look a little bit at some ways we can use layer tracks, a couple different ways. If you have any questions on them, feel free to put them up in the chat, and I'd love to answer those for you. And otherwise, we'll just kind of go through those layers and how to use them. And while we're doing that, we might talk a little bit about sampling and whatnot. We'll also look at some of the master effects and a few different things with that, but I did also want to talk about some snapshots and maybe knob assignment and making morphs. We'll see where we go. But in the meantime, we got just a little 4 on the floor going here. I'll get the screen up a little more right now, so as we do the exploring, you get a little better view of that and less of me. And I'll get a little drink of water and we'll talk about these layers. I'm really liking the layer tracks. There we go. Let me know how it sounds if you are listening and how you're listening. If it's loud enough for you here, we'll get kicking in with the kick drum here. How's it sound on your end? If it's sounding too crunchy, too much, let me know. If it's not enough, let me know. I'm going to get this focus, so excuse the little wobble as I lock that focus in. So far I've just created a couple sections, trying to refine each one as I go. It's kind of parts of the song I want to create here. You can see I also have a vary chain going because I have something on these bottom 4, creating a little melodic line, which I'll talk about using snapshots. First, let's look at the tracks I got going so I can kind of explain what's happening. On the kick, I have a ACB 9X, the circuit bent ACBs. These are the ones that have a bit more to them than the last ACBs on like the TR-1000 and whatnot. Those had, only tune, decay, and a couple other things. It didn't have pitch amount or pitch decay. Definitely didn't have coarse tuning on the ACBs. And you get some drive to it depending on how you're tuning your drums. And then an attack. And this is on the 909. That is layer A. And for reference, layer A is represented by a blue step. So anytime you see a blue step, it is layer A of that track, of those 4 layer tracks. Layer B is green, and red is both. These are sequencing options that will come up and become very useful. So in A, I have the 909 with an 808 back, and it's the 808 analog. So it doesn't have a lot of parameters, but you do get the tune. You get a tone of it, which is kind of on the transient tone. And the tune is kind of the tuning more of it, I believe. I could have those backwards, but you could test them if we wanted. Then your decay. And then really just phase inversion. And if you want to delay by samples to have it sit a little behind your other layer, it's kind of a nice little feel to it. Okay, that's how I use myself so far. The kick, I like to layer the 2 kick parts, and that gets you the sound that you get to tweak each of them individually with their tunes, and then each of them get their own filter on each layer. You can decide equalizer or filter. You can also do modulation, and that applies to both layers. Now the modulation is the LFO, and if you only want to affect one layer, then you simply go to one of the targets, and the target only is Gen A. If you're in Gen A, then you can choose what part of Gen A, or keep going but through the whole list, but you can see the top of the list there, Gen A, Gen B, filter A, right? Sorry, filter B. Again, you'll notice that filter A had all the EQ settings, because filter A for Gen A, layer A, is an EQ and not a filter. So you can even modulate with LFOs, those kind of things, the EQ frequencies and gains. So Okay, and then it gets into filter B, which is a filter. And then you can see an amp, the AB mix, which is, so you can have an LFO, you move the mix knob. Kind of fun, so you can have a waver between, depending on what, or your sample and hold be all over the place. Give a little variety to your kicks if you're just sequencing both together. The amplitude on the amp envelope for the attack, hold, and decay of the sound. The balance of the compressor. Panning in the mix and all your mix settings. So those are things you can do just on one target for one of these layer tracks based off of their settings, and if they have a filter, EQ, and the amp envelope, if you're using it or not. If you're using the compressor and want to get creative with modulation, you can. Okay, and then here's the amp envelope. You get an attack in milliseconds, up to 1,000 milliseconds. Turn it on or off down here. You can keep it off. It's just going to play the sample completely based solely off your decay. When you turn it on, you can start using hold mode. It's going to hold it the whole way, right? Time, now you get millisecond time of actually holding the sample for full volume, right? So you'll hold it there for a while, and then after that amount of time that you've said to hold it, your decay takes over, right? To fade away back down to 0 volume. You'll notice it's more longer samples you're using, probably less of a dramatic effect on shorter samples because there isn't much hold time. Or you can do step holds where you can decide how many steps specifically, up to 127.5 steps. And decay goes to 1,000 milliseconds too. Your attack gets a curve. Let me stretch this out so you can see it. Using C4 can curve exponentially or logarithmically. This is by them. It says L and E, so I'm just guessing that's because I believe that's what it is, right? So you could treat your attack a little differently too. This is where you can get really creative. Okay, this is just if you have your envelope on. If not, it just plays the sample out and relies on if you're setting a decay of the amount it starts. I guess it's going to just start turning it on and moving it, but this doesn't change. I don't believe yeah. Because it's just an offset that this one is set to right now. If I set this to the amp envelope decay, I would have to turn it on for it to take effect. But the offset is nice because, like, which one might I have done this? Maybe I did it on this one. Let's look at knob assign real quick because of what this is assigned to. The decay only goes to plus 20% offset or addition. And I have it set to negative 10% at the minimum. So if you hear just the kick drum, at 0 offset, all its setting is the decay that you have set for the envelope of the sound. So if I hit play, and we'll go just full, maybe, right? No change there because this doesn't have the envelope. If I go to B, B has the envelope and the decay. So as I bring B in, right, and then I could cut that 808 to very short decay. I'm taking 10% off. And that's maxing. I'm not going to give it too much, but I give it the max I would like because now I get to kind of play with it, right? So now I'm assigning a knob to be something that is audibly effective, but it doesn't take it so far that I got to be careful how far I go. I set these parameters in that knob assign button right here. I've set decay, and then using C2 and 3, I set my minimum and maximum. And what's nice is I'll set like this right here. If I take my decay down all the way, right, I can now adjust this and Like you can feel the difference here. It adjusts the minimum live, so this position right here, I'm changing what I'm hearing so I could set what I actually want my minimum to be. Right? Oops. Right. So we have that. So I could set my see how I get a little more. I don't want it all taken away. Here's, you know, everything. Right. About there. So now that's my minimum, and then I can go to my max. Maybe only a 4% boost, right, is my max. And that's in between, if that sounds good to me. Right. If that's what your settings are, that's what you work for. I'll just put it back up to like 10 or so, that's good. So this is the benefit of the new knob assign. Much better than just an assignment. You get to give your kind of attenuation of your parameters. Right? So you have three others. You have 4 max for your mod, and again, mod is shift filter. Left and right is going to go between the assignments and the it's on knob assign. Sorry. There's 4 knob assignments. I was mixed up with that in LFO. I apologize. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 assignments you can put on a knob. 4 different things that a knob can be assigned to. Really nice. You could do decay and also slightly pitch it down with less parameters to give it kind of a detune as the decay opens up. So fun to be had with that. Anyway, out of knob assign. Knob assign, I feel that Roland really with this, they really want you to get into setting these knobs to be something you can kind of tweak, even if it's just a few. You don't have to be playing with every damn one as you're going. But some are great for live. Like I'm finding I like a lot of the top ones just for like live ones, or pick a row. And then my other ones I'm starting to use as just assignments to be used in a morph. And I find with some of the other patterns that I've noticed they use, and some people have talked about it already, but using like the DJ effects looper and what for the master output, or for the master effect, sorry. And then using that and doing settings for it as, because it morphs between that, and you can get some pretty cool effects that way. So adding that in with other things happening. So maybe we'll look at that a little bit later. Back to the layer tracks. So kick tracks, generally, most people are probably going to layer these. They're going to use it as a single instrument and giving more sound design to it, maybe. And then possibly same with snare drum, but I find a lot of the time I'm moving over here and just using maybe like the rim shot track to be my snare, or right, because I could find a good snare and I can, you know, based on what I'm using or a good sample, I don't feel like I want to layer that snare so much. So over here I can save it for either melodic stuff or maybe other percussive stuff that you want to layer, or do kind of alternate instrument things where in the same track you're bouncing between these two things. It gives you a lot more options to play around with these. So I find myself going over here for my snare, my snare work. Yeah. And then over here is just, I think there's a synth pluck in. Nothing yet. So I was going to talk about a couple ways to use this. This one I just have 2 different toms on it. So with these playing, just basic tom pattern using just kind of a layer of two different ones. I kind of want to get into getting these both and doing the tuning offset because I think it's kind of fun as part of the morph to be able to tune those up and play with those a little bit. I find pitch stuff to be a little more entertaining when playing with morphs. Okay, so I have those, but I believe as I go through, yeah, this one's basic, and then as I go through I start adding maybe some toms here and there, little stronger ones, and then I think down here I start breaking them up and throwing the individual tom, because as we know the red ones are both, so both toms are hitting at the same time, right? And then here just the layer A, then just layer B in between. So you get like a I haven't done the rest yet, but I was going to show you how we can go about that, right? This I might even, since it is still coming through pretty strong, these middle ones, I don't know if I want them to be that strong. They're still at a 50 velocity, and even that's strong enough for the 30 works a little better for me in the what I'm trying to go for. Yeah. So I have the option of either just repeating that through the rest, but I kind of like just keeping it on the first one. So it will for now. But going into some of the step sequencing, you'll notice that some of these are only set for certain steps, right? 101. This one goes every time it comes through. This is only going to go the second time it comes through. Okay, so if I'm doing that on a 4 variation chain, the first time I play the 4 through, you won't hear this one, right? You will hear this one. It's playing every time. So are the rest. They should be, unless I've been not paying attention. Yeah. So everything plays, but this one only plays the second time E plays. So it'll have to be actually on measure 5 if you let this pass 2 times through as a 4 variation or 4 measure loop. So it's a nice extra way that if you're chaining variations, keep that in mind, because it won't just keep playing every time you go through. Like, you got to let it play twice and then it'll come back, so you're actually playing 4 measures. So it gives a nice little extra space to some sounds that might be nice to bring into your loops, but not too often. Start spreading out among variations. And to make melodic content, you have to chain variations, unless your melody fits within one measure, or you get very creative with some steps and cycles. I haven't gone that deep yet. This still is the first 48. Anyway, so I have the 808 ACP tom and the MG88 low tom sample with the basic settings. Not a lot going on with those, just kind of bringing in the different sounds. So, and then on the high tom I got some bassline stuff happening with actual loop that has been sliced up. So it's only playing certain, well, right now there's nothing on B, so we're going to explore doing these second sides, so those can come off. I'll go through each one real quick. Might as well take the green off because there's nothing on 2 right now. I went through and cleaned house with some samples that I was playing around with. Get them out of all the variations. Okay, and we'll find something new to pick. So in this one, it's just playing A. Right? And if you're in the clip mode, you gotta, it goes into this mode. I don't know if you can pick the slice in this by turning C2. So this wasn't covered in a couple other videos. I hadn't even noticed it before until I think the other night when I finally turned it on. But in the regular mode here, when you hold a step down C6, will let you choose which slice of the sample is on this step. But in this mode, not a motion, there we go. No, it's not going to do it for me. It's only when you go to it. No, not motion. Now it doesn't wish to do it. When I did it before, you'd hold, yeah, here. It shows you what slice it is, and you could just turn. Right here, you could see exactly what slice, visually too, what slice you want on that step. Yeah. And if you're on one, you know, you want to try a different one out. And it's nice because you could do it while it's playing too. You get. This wasn't a very exciting bass line, it just kind of was going in kind of a sub bass line to move with everything else. But for these, as it's going, if I want to, I'll take those toms out. This is on one, I could take this and find one that works. It would probably be better if this just stayed as this and put this in as one of those. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. So whatever, just playing around with it. But the way you can just kind of cycle through and visually see your sample that you want to use for that step is, I feel, a better way to approach it than using the cursor or the, you know, increment, decrement, and moving over here and seeing it up there, and then still it jumps when you hold. Now it's C6, and you can pick your number, but you don't get to see it visually on the waveform. So, what's up, Sir Silver? Since launch, nice. Yeah, it's got a deep learning curve. Have you had it since the? Here, we could do this. Have you had it since the? You've had it since the launch, but have you had the TR-1000 coming from anything like that? Because while I feel there is a lot more, and my learning curves coming from a bit different layouts and approaching variations a bit differently now, I find myself backtracking a little bit and trying to figure my way through. But from the TR-8S, there's a lot of similarities kind of happening, but there's a lot of extra stuff going on too. So definitely, let me know your experience with it, but it does definitely have a deep learning curve to it. Yes, I agree. Awesome, man. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. So we're just kind of going through and explaining kind of what's happening, and any questions come up. But as you've had yours since launch, so you're probably a few more hours ahead than I am in this thing. It's an exciting device. I love getting into these kind of sampling slices a bit, and then kind of finding which ones to play with. Like, what's really nice is if you want to, since we're on this, if kind of create a longer sample by just selecting a different slice and hitting clear. The second one always, because it'll connect it with one before. So now that slice, the first one when it plays, right, we can, I got the whole thing now. Like this one is number 8, so we should go over to number 8 and include number 9 in it. And then, how about this? We'll go over to 10 and 11, and we're going to clear 11, so now this should kind of include 10 and 11. Right? If we wanted to just play these out instead of listening to them on here, but I feel as it's playing through, it kind of, that one doesn't, oh, I see. We want this one to be 10, not 11. I think we need to get rid of number, that one too. And I feel like I want to take this thing and... Oh, it was ahead. I want to kind of... Kind of cool now, right? Because changing up these, you know, samples and just using them, the ones I'm not using, I might as well either include them, or you can honestly, if I'm not using any of these other ones, this might play with some other stuff, but we can go back and redo our samples because we're using, let's go over here so we know exactly. We're using slice 1, 8, and 10, right? So if we're using 1, 8, and 10, we can go to, this might be even the easiest way to do it, but if I keep to, do that one, that one, that one, then when you hit enter, when you're in this slice mode or sample mode, you could decide to add or delete a slice. Adding slices happen where you put the cursor. Deleting a slice generally should delete the one. I'm going to, before doing this, just ensure by moving the cursor over to 2. But generally where you move the cursor is where you're going to add a slice at. Not delete, I don't think, but just to be sure. I'll scroll down to delete slice. Delete it. Oh, I see what you do. Okay. So it's going to include those next ones. This one's going to be, oh no. This one's going to play 10. Did it create this one as a... Don't really need all that. There you go. As you can see in between, that's not a slice anymore. So I'll move the cursor over what I'm talking about. In here, this isn't a slice anymore because it's not selectable. 1 is a slice and I've put the end of it to where I want it. If I wanted to include it a little bit longer to have it play longer, I'm going to have to move this because this is going to re-trigger a different slice. You can't have 2 slices on this playing over each other. It's not polyphonic slicing. That'd be cool. But at least you know you could use effects if you want to. Put some delay on this and have it just echo over itself if you need it or whatever. But to play the longer sample, I'd have to give it more space in the sequencer. Wagyu! What's happening? How are you? Just waking up here? Yeah, what a beast, man. Good morning to you, Eggs. Good to see ya. Hey, all right, man. Love it. You have one, correct? Mr. Crow Food. Mr. Crow Food is asking, resampling one-shots using analog effects multiple times gives you lo-fi? I would imagine so. You could start adding some filtering and drive and things like that. Should we try? Should we try? We have something on the other side of this high tom. You know, we just got this fun little bassline thing going. Why not see what we could do with this end? So we'll put a sample in here. So the hand clap is not being used at the moment, so we can put a sample in there to resample onto the high tom layer B. Okay, I think that should work, and we'll have to set up to go through our analog effects. This will be fun. I haven't tried this. I like this. What kind of sound should we do? You could do enter or shift gen. We'll do the same thing. Go through your categories. Let's get some kind of what would we put there? That'd be a hand clap thing. Should we do something different? Ideas? Great question. So let's see. Let's get a. I don't think a clap would be something that'd be fun to have, kind of lo-fi. Maybe a something melodic, or you maybe a like they have drum loops here. I mean, and percussive loops, so you can run loops right through. Yeah, Wagyu saying only a matter of time until you get one. Yeah, man. I sold some gear to make room for this just because I feel like this takes the place of a lot of things. So I thought the same thing as you as the Pro line. I see this as their Pro line, like their Jupiter X and the Juno X, and even when they're coming out with these stage pianos and everything now, I think they're trying to bring the drum machine and the synths are going to go to this kind of different level maybe. And but I don't know what they would do with some of the new synths. They'd have to either come out with something entirely new or really wow us with something from back in the day. People are on the fence about this with the whole analog 808 909 business. I just love the way it sounds. I'm not going to argue with what it sounds like, but I would love to see like some fun new Jupiters and some new analog synths come out. That'd be fun, and like a pro level, um, like a groovebox style thing or something maybe to go with this that gave me the kind of a multi-channel synth, or even in like a pro level MX1. Like, oh my lord! So I would be in heaven with that kind of stuff. So we could do like vintage drums. This one's a 127 tempo, so this could work. You hold copy, or don't you have to hold copy? I thought you had to hold copy to check out sounds. I don't know if this is going to do it. No, it's just going to copy because it's a built-in. So here's the drums, right? And we can hold inst play and hit inst play to make sure we can trigger it. It's on the hand clap, right here. So that's the drum loop. So let's just, we'll do that, and then see, we could just run this one, just run straight here. We'll get this one kind of ready. We'll put our analog effects on. We will trigger this one. And we have to hold it since it seems to be a 2-measure loop. We have to put cycle 1 to 2 just so it doesn't get re-triggered right away playing in a 1 variation loop. Sorry, let me get that out of here. I know you want to see the sequencing. Oh, right. Resample in 1 hit. What am I doing? You totally said that. I apologize. So let's get like one of these sub-elements. These are fun. Okay. We'll do like a kick. Right. Okay. That one's just too ambient. I'll just try that one. Okay. Put that one in. Then we should be able to sample it through. It's also going through a compressor on the master there. I'd have to change the master effect too. Maybe put like, what can we put on there? Set a compressor. Could run it through something else. SD320 maybe, a little sideband filter. Could even do like an isolator. What do you suggest? One shot. Yeah, I agree with you there, Wags. So, Victor, how you doing, buddy? What could we try and go through? We could do like a filter and drive. That'd be almost a combo thing there, huh? Slight phaser. Too much. Lost the sound of it now. It might be going. No, it's not going through a filter. Maybe not a phaser then. Oh no, I liked the. Put some noise in it. Got really low, huh? Try a different sound. Now we could run it through the effects here too. Give it on this one. Pitch delay could be fun. See, okay. There you go. Let's just say we're sampling through. I can honestly say I'm not great at trying to make something get into a lo-fi sound. I haven't explored that enough. But I'm always up for guidance if anyone wants to chime in on maybe what effects might be better. I'd love to learn. But let's just try and resample something through this stuff so we can see kind of what it's doing, right? On this, we have noise that's not doing anything, so let's find something that works a little better. Transient. I mean, there's got to be a balance. Kind of liking it. Sure, whatever. Let's do it. This is all the drive on it. Alright. So to sample it, you just got to hit sample, right? Or actually shift sample so you can forbidden preset sample. Forbidden. What do you mean forbidden? Oh, that's editing the sample. I can't edit a preset sample. Okay, that's fine. So I think the input should be track, so I could just hit a specific track to turn them on and off, or I can go to a specific one if it's just going to be one track. Length. Oh, that's a good question. We could just make it, these are steps. I'll make it 4 steps. Trigger on the, I want to try this too. So there's inst play. So not super loud. Let's, oh, gain's way down. That's why. There we go. So now if you hit OK, right? you get your sound. Then you edit, normalize. It goes way too loud for listening for a sample. So now I usually, from here you can edit and write and assign. Probably put an emphasis. Let's put an emphasis on it too, just see what it does. Yeah, I'm going to turn this down just so we can hear. Okay, write and assign. All these things, we'll just keep in the other or per category. Geez, I'm going to be like that. The electric perk. Okay, name this. I'm not going to name it. I'm just going to call it Ling or Ing. It's just called Ing. This is the main thing I want anyway. We want the high tom B, correct? Put it there and then execute. Now it's here on B. Kind of adds a little something to that bass now. And so if we are sequencing this now, I would change this maybe to both of them since this is just a percussive sound. But then you can sample these two layers if you want to, or just mix one or the other and then go back through some more effects again and bounce it back over to the hand clap. So you could just bounce back and forth between tracks if you wanted to. Yeah. So it's useful in that way, putting in the bit of work, and once you get down the muscle memory of what effects you're going to want to use and whatever else you got going on with it, then I think, yeah, it'll become almost second nature. And, you know, resampling back and forth, you'll find two. Maybe before make the rest of the beat, just do a sound creation pattern where you're just running stuff through effects and trying different sounds to get them to be something different. Because then you could save it as a sound, I believe. Save as. It's already been in there. But if I was to do anything else like set up knob assignments, because that's assigned with the instrument. So when you load an instrument that's saved, that you've created, and you set knob assignments for it, and you really like that instrument with the knob assignments, if you load that instrument into any other kit, those knob assignments are also present. So that was thoughtful. And so now if we do these, what were they, 1, 8, and 6? This should be interesting. I wonder if it's going to work if we do this. 1. Nope. 8. 6. So that should... Maybe not, huh? So that doesn't work with both of them. So I just switch that back to this. But anyway, using that and putting it on top of there, you can have your other sounds layer on top, or like I was saying, bouncing your samples back and forth. Sorry, just getting lost in thought there for a second. Okay. So the other thing I was going to talk about, I think right here with the toms, we talked about kind of sequencing each layer a little bit differently. In these further layers, we started adding in just single hits. There's double hits. You can add in just one layer or the other. Now, working with something like a melodic track, I was working on that down here, so it sounds just more. What's this going to be? Okay, this might work. So yeah, So for the melodic stuff, you have to go across these, especially if you're going to use the same kind of timing. If you were to have your melody land in different steps throughout the phrase of it, then you could set up cycles to maybe work for you. Yeah, you could set cycles up to work, but if they're going to land on the same step ever, you can't set it to play a different pitch. And so, like the cycles, like the motion recording, basically you can't run cycles on motion recording because that's what pitch change information is. It's just automation, right? The motion. And you're recording that into a step. Like here I have, it should be set to one of these. This, I'm on the wrong one here. There. -7 semitones, 0 semitones. And so F and then C or whatever it is. And then I did different ones, but you can't put a cycle on that motion. Cycling only happens for the step entirely. So the motion will be there every time, but if you're not triggering it every time, you won't hear the change. So no problem, Mr. Crawford. I don't have a problem sharing that resampling. I know it wasn't the greatest version of it. I will. It's encouraged me though to go look at what sort of effects I need to run through. I'm sure there's some great effects. I'm just not thinking about putting it through. And if I get some good examples in my head, might be able to get something. Well, I guess I could load up a lo-fi sample and hear what it sounds like. Other sampling techniques, like I can go ahead and I have up here a synth attached to the external input of this. Okay, and what I could do is, since I have a synth on here, if I wanted to, maybe layer it, I can sample. Oh, why'd you do that? Okay, 1 second. I don't want to point through it. It's just Yamaha Reface CP. So love the thing if you've never played with one. But we have a right. Got to get something that's a little too much. Everything. Anyway, I just want to find a note. I generally want to pick a C because that will be the easiest. Just knowing starting from C, your semitones move up and down. It's also what's naturally keep. Why am I getting a buzz? Are you guys hearing? Is it from this? Oh, it is. Why? 1 second. So hold on. I wonder if it's the battery power or whatever, but I'm getting just a little hum from the external input. I wonder if my gain's too far on the kit. External in. No. Nope. Oh, something. I don't know if people have talked about this just because I'm in the kit settings, but when you're in the kit settings, there's an LFO in there for non-instrument modulation, like all the modulation of your reverb and delay settings and your master effects and all that. If you wanted to modulate anything up here, any of those parameters, that's up here in your kit settings called mod. So you have, the reverbs, delay, master effects, analog effects, external input settings, sidechain settings, because there's a master sidechain that all the sidechains obey. Go back to the sample in a minute here. I want to get that. So in your kit, you'll go on the very end. There's sidechain, master sidechain settings. So you can set the maximum depth. So when you go 100% on an instrument, it's not always 100%. You know what I mean? So let's see here. Let's just get like a Rhodes instead. So we're going to sample it into B side of the SE because there's a synth thing on here, right? So let's try and find a... So we'll just use that one. Super easy sample. We go to our input, external in. I know we hear that, but it's just not coming through. I don't know what it is. It's battery powered plugged into here. I just want to get a good recording. So I can just do a auto, and it should pick it up as soon as it picks up any signal. So just get a long one. Okay, let's turn that back down. Since there's no, I could put some reverb. I could put an effect on it if I wanted to. Let's do that instead. Let's find a... There we go. So we'll just get some... So we'll play that. Okay. Just exit that. Current sample will be lost. We'll do it again. Okay. Now we're happy with that. One more. The length is manual. Okay. It's enough. Normalize. Turn that input down so we don't hear that hum. That's so loud. Okay. Enter. Write and assign. We're just going to assign it to something at the moment. I could go back and name it later. So we want snare drum B. Right? And then execute. Okay, I'll turn that off. Okay. So now we can also set, okay, because what we did was with this, we set the motion to be on the tune knob. And what the tune knob is, if we look at the knob assign, snare drum, touch the tune knob, it's set to the Gen A or layer A's course tune. But what we can do is reassign that to, I believe, course tune A, sorry, and Gen B course. So now they both follow the same tuning, hopefully. Let's see what happens. That needs to come down on B. So Gen B, that's not such a big deal. It's on the amp, not amp. Yeah, amp B level. Because A is down to 10, so B needs to come down. So it's here. Sounds like it's not falling on it. I might have to change that. I don't know if it stayed in tune, did it? It's interesting. Let's see why B is not. Maybe we can do this. That's not going to work. Doesn't it sound off to you? It sounds off to me. I hit C. These should be in C unless it's... Here, what if I do this? Maybe it's in a C sharp. Some people have claimed it's C sharp. Let's see. Because these both should be... Now it's in percentages for those. Interesting. This is, yeah, the step motion. The tune knob's not showing a semitone change anymore. I wonder if it does it because, oh, here, maybe I could change, you know what, let's check this out, okay, because this is both chorus tunes, but you notice this is like a 2 octave either way, and this is only 12. Wait. Sensitive to the knob. This is my learning curve, is remembering what knob does what. Let's just go 12 to 12 on this one too. Maybe that's causing the little bit of dissonance there. Please. No. Well, yeah, okay. So what if I exit out of here, go to B and jump it up an octave? That's kind of fun. I'll give it a filter. And then we'll shift filter to go to the filter envelope. No. Sorry, not shift filter, just hit filter again and you got the filter envelope. Hold mode. I turned hold mode to time 0 and then we can use the... Then you got your like envelope amount here on the C6. Kind of weird, but we could keep playing, throw a nice, one thing I want, I was going to say put a nice little effect on it, but something I wanted to, might be cool to get an isolator in there. I'm going to probably do an isolator with it, but I wanted to, this delay, okay, I want to make mention because it has feedback, it has balance. You could turn the sync. I think it's almost better with sync off, the delay, and creating it like, treating it like an analog, because here's your range of synced and your options for note delays. Okay, if you wanted these synced delays. So the first one is 1/30 seconds, 1/16 triplets, 1/32 dotted, 16ths, 8th triplets, 16th dotted. That's it. Those are your delay time options. So I feel sync off and just using the milliseconds, you'll have a little more fun. It gets up to 580 down to 1, right? And then I think you'll get a little more out of it. You could do phasing and whatnot and dampeners. So if you're going to use that delay, I recommend analog mode unless one of those times work for you. But that's your options. Right? Oh, I never do that. I don't have a spray. I wanted just that's fine. Just keep it as that is. Alright. Just playing with the layers, sampling something in that doesn't even sound like what it was before now, right? We're playing around with it. And they've carried over, I've been trying to find shortcuts here and there, but they have carried over from the 8S's holding the track select button and turning the reverb level or the delay level, and it will take you right to the mixer mode where you can adjust the amount of level of delay and reverb sends. Then it keeps you kind of right there. And just start playing around with whatever it is. So it's kind of a cool shortcut that not only gets you into that mixer mode, which is shift and effects for your track, but it also jumps you right to being able to still shortcut those reverb level and delay level sends. This and the master effect. Oh, what does this do? Okay. Type sideband. Oh, that's just a sideband filter. So it's adjusting when that's just adjusting it anyway, so it's not really doing anything. It's interesting, it's showing a track setting. So when I hold this down, track settings. Yeah, so you could just automatically go to forward. So instead of shift track, oh, that holds it in there. That's kind of cool. Shift in a track always brings you into the settings, you know, which direction you want to rotate, which means kind of shifting the steps left or right and seeing how it kind of plays around, and then even knocking the whole start, almost doing a swing to the whole pattern. Like rotate's going to move per step, you know what I mean? It's going to do bigger jumps. The start moves in little increments, so you can kind of just nudge a sequence off the sequence a little, and then you have shuffle. But if you exit out of that, if you just hold a track down, you're there and you can make changes. And then when you let go, you go back to where you were, so you don't have to hit exit to get out of that. So just holding down the track works as well. Cool. Okay. So moving on from those sounds there, now we have some fun little stuff, and we can always mix between them if you don't want to hear. All right. We still got that. So you got all that going. We looked at the toms and the different kinds of sounds going on with them. It's kind of fun to bring in so it's going through then. So you heard both of them this time. And this time you won't hear this one. But you hear that one. Because that one's set on 2 of 2, right? But changing up the patterns, and especially with things like using toms or percussive elements, I find getting 2 complementary percussions and putting them on a layer track, as long as they don't need to, well, even if they need to play together, you can sequence them together and really get a lot of mileage out of it, because you're getting 2 separate instruments playing with each other instead of trying to do 2 tracks together, like low tom, high tom. High tom. You know what I mean? You could put both low and high on here, or low and medium. You know, so I think that was kind of part of their intention, but also you go so far as to, you know, put loops on there. I don't know where else I have any kind of. This one was a fun one. Okay. Vocal samples. So not a lot of else going on here. There's just some claps. And this one is a vocal sample. I don't think I have it on this series. So we go back up here. They'll be on this D one. And this is... I was going through some vocal sample things. So just chopped up in... So basically I found imported a sample off the USB that was just a whole bunch of different old school house samples and whatever vocal stuff. And this is a little snippet out of it, so I just brought that whole sample down just to the parts I needed, and then truncated it, and after that I was able to slice just that bits up into smaller slices and have each one trigger. Like this one is playing slice 3, but it only happens on the 8th measure or 8th cycle. So that means D has to play 8 times. And on the 8th time, this step will play. Otherwise, this one is the first of 2. So every odd cycle, right? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. This one is also the same. 1 of 2. So you get knowledge, knowledge, and then it goes through. And then this one's on 2 of 2. So, and he says, I give, right? So, then right here. So he just gives I give before knowledge. Give, knowledge, knowledge. I give, knowledge. Makes me invincible. Right? So that's chopping up samples and placing them on different steps, and not only doing that, but cycling them so they're not always playing every time, and you can kind of really get more mileage out of each of those chops. I don't know if I'm stuck in the 90s there, Deflux. People think, yeah, 20 years too late, but I don't know if 20 years ago people were as interested in hardware production to justify something like this. If we go back 20 years, there wasn't as much to offer. It probably would have been great. I don't know how it would have sold. But well, that's a lot of vinyl. 5,000 plus. I don't know if I have that many, but it smells like muffins. It's Conocide, not Hilo. It's the Koki frogs. I'm amazed you can hear them. You know how it is. You kind of tune them out. So, I'm a old school house head too, the Flux 7. So that's what I enjoy making. I don't know what decade it is. It just makes me happy. I know that's what it does. Make a few different styles, and the same as you've been. It seems like you've been DJing for quite a while with the amount of vinyl you got collected there. Nice. It sounds like a 90s DJ. I'm just really kind of going through this, and especially this one, I'm doing just some exploration with it and having a good time. So, oh, you miss it. Yeah. Hawaii's nice. I know you're not hating. It's all your thoughts are totally justifiable and on point. You know, they're recreating sounds they made a long time ago that people, you know, right in the 2000s, a lot of the 808s were really starting to come in with, you know, trap music coming in a little bit later, and a lot of the hip hop that time. Everybody's been using those sounds, and to have something that would have came in to excite everyone probably could have worked, you know, but for like a mass production, it might have flopped like the old 808s and whatnot too. So, not a whole lot of polyphony on this one. Muffins, smells like muffins. It's a 10 track with 4 tracks being dual layers, so you can have, up to 14 sounds playing at the same time, and it doesn't seem to choke any of them out. What I do notice is, based off a gain, if your kick's coming in hard, it almost just by default going through your circuitry kind of pushes everything else down. So whatever's loudest is definitely going to come through the most. So yeah, always give it a copy and write. And so I'm excited. And I have a couple other drum machines that I really love what they do, and the 1000 doesn't do it. And in some of the sound sculpting areas, like I love the alpha bass. The thing hits really hard. It has a great sound, and it has an FM synth on it, and you can get really creative with it and come up with some great sounds. So yeah, and hopefully it can bring some sounds. I do like their new analog circuits. I know they're just new. I don't know how they say, like a new, fresh version of what they were trying to create. They weren't trying to perfectly recreate the 808 and 909. I think they're trying to create a better version or a new version of it with these analog circuits to still give you those sounds, but a little more is how I feel. And um, without knowing too much about electronics, the thing just sounds by default thicker coming out of it than some of my other drum machines, and without a whole lot of work, I feel. But I don't know what that is. It's just I don't know what to attribute that to. But I do like, the other machines. I got some electron. I had a couple electronic gear. I'm just down to the Octatrack now. I have MPC to play with. I love modular for creating some great sounds. Modular is where it's at if you're going to really focus on sound. Absolutely. But as far as what Roland's been doing, this is definitely a step up um, in their company, really. Other people have been doing stuff. The Crossfader, that's an Electron thing. But, it's nothing new. There's been the D-Beam before that does very similar stuff. The compacts with their, what is that called? The tilt, or what do you call the D-motion, where you can pick the compact up and move it around and it'll do different. You can make it do different things. So I feel this is their little nod to Electron, and the steps, of course, and the very gray look. So yeah, the Octatrack, that's if you want to talk about a tough learning curve. I'm still learning on it every day. I play with that thing. I'm like, holy moly, this thing does a lot. You still miss D-beams, Wagyu? All right. Yeah, it's massive. It's a big machine. It's someone compared it to the size of a old school 909, about that same size, real close. So yeah, what else were we looking at? Oh, I wanted to say, like, on this one track down here, just with that synth book that was making the melody part of it, right? This part. What I did to make it easier, because you can sit there and hold steps and turn your steps much like turn the knob to the desired motion, to change your pitch and whatnot, like the TR-800 and before it. That's how you did your melodies and your bass lines. In this one, you get that new feature of Snapshots, which kind of allows you to set it up and do some exploration. And not only that, if you're not even sequencing and you just want to kind of play live or have what's cool is a Snapshot is set with a instrument. I believe it's the instrument. So like per track in a kit, if you were to load or save an instrument, the snapshots are with it, because the knob positions are with an instrument when you save it. So are the snapshots, and those are Instaplay is now like a kind of a shift button, right? Like shift, but your different Instaplay modes when you hold it down. And you hit over here one of these 4. Ins play is by normal. You trigger all your tracks. 16 velocity is whatever track you're on. Get 16 velocities. For recording, slices up any sample you have up there, and then snapshots on 16 allows you to set up to 16 snapshots for that track, because it's going to apply to both layers on a layer track. Whatever knob you're basically doing motion recording, but you're setting it up in a manner that's more musical. So I set this as I think it's an F major scale with a lower bass F. This is the lower F. And now it's off, or because this is interesting. So I'm going to wonder about a couple things here on settings. To fix this, let's go back to knob assign. I feel because I assigned 2 things to this, it's messing with pitch information. And instead of doing this way, I feel like I got to turn this one off. This one goes back to normal. I just want to put that back. And then come over here to control 3 for layer 2. Turn that and make that B. Gen B course. Okay. For some reason that only gets 12 while the other one gets 24, which is interesting. Maybe it's because it's on a tune knob. You know, I don't think on the, let's see what the decay does. I'm just going to set it quickly to a course and see. A gets 24, does B? 12. So only layer A can have a 24, a 2 octave down and a 2 octave up coarse tuning on a layer track. Layer B does not get the same. Layer B will only get a 1 octave up or down for coarse tuning. Interesting. Find out something new every day. So we got these 2. So this is what I'm going to do instead, because on the now I could just, I'll show you how we set it up. We'll just go ahead and clear it. Okay, hold clear and just hit all your snapshots. What they do is they basically, you're creating a motion or a setting of knob positions, right? That's all it is when you hold it, all these parameters come up, your 6 knobs. So I know tune, this is going to be a little hard for the other one, but I don't. So tune, I want to do this one on -7. I think I'm on E. What am I on? Yeah, E. So now with that knob assign, where was I? It's on this one, -7. But if I also wanted to change over here, I can set -7 to layer B as well. This I think will help. And then 0, that was already set to 0. So this one as well can be set to 0. So now it's back to normal. And if I put both of them, I bet you these sound a little better together. Yeah, now they're both sounding better. So with that in mind, we're going to re-record this snare drum track into all these. I'm going to clear out the snare drum track. I'm going to get out knob assign first so I can do that. Clear out the snare drum. So now, when there's nothing there, right? So now I want to create a snapshot. Just tap ins play. Now when I hold down the first one, I make my parameter settings. I want -7 here, and I want a -7. Actually, I want more than that, but it's not going to give me. I'm going to do -7 because I didn't do the octave down, so it doesn't matter. -7 is an F from a C, right? If you count down, you know, down 1 B flat, you know, A flat, G, F, all the way down to F. And then -5 would be a G, right? Next one we need a G sharp, so that's just -4, -4. -2 gives us an A sharp. Oops. And after that, we jump to a C, so that's a 0. And then we get a C sharp out of that. +1, +1. Then we get a +3 for the D sharp E flat. And then our last one in the scale for 8 notes in the scale would give us a high F, so that would be a 5. 5 semitones up from C is F. So now I've essentially created those 8 notes. Right, so you can cycle around and start getting a little creative with some melodies if you just put in a scale. Noticing that there's 16 steps, you could put 2 full scales in. Let's look real quick at some of the chat there. Thanks to Flux. It felt really good to get those 10,000 subs. I was pushing this year to try and get it before the end of the year. So if you're one of them, I totally appreciate you. I really do. So thanks for hanging out and wanting to listen to me. So seashell looks cool. Seal shell looks cool. Was that Muffins? The Toneverk is pretty cool, and with the TR-1000, that would be unreal. I think that would be a great combo. I'm still trying to see what kind of synth would be paired. I have a 707, so I was going to pair that, just Roland. But I also kind of wanted to throw it up with the, be fun with the Hydrasynth maybe. You know, just something to kind of play around with, something a little more wild to get in there. But I have been enjoying just putting multiple things next to this and sampling them into it. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about this is the ease of sampling into it and then taking it and chopping it up and assigning it to something. So I really appreciate that because it kind of gives me a little all-in-one, you know. And I know there's a few other options out there, but this one works. So, but yeah, I watched some videos on that Toneverk. That is a nice instrument. So with this one, I was just hitting just that as it went through an inst record, right? So as it's playing, I could go to inst record, wait for it to come around to the 1. Oops. So I could keep it playing and just clear. 5 is what I meant. Right, and it gets out at least the melodic lines, and maybe you can have your bass notes you wanted to have over here. Right, now this is only for each instrument. If I go to another instrument, they get their own 16 snapshots to do whatever you want. It could be different decay amounts, different sends. If your knob is sent to a send, you could do that and just record that kind of stuff in, which would be interesting to do. Okay, it was couple other things I wanted to look at that are pretty interesting. I haven't looked too much at, you know, fill-in triggers and stuff like that, what to play and all that. I'm actually curious. So this is what I'm interested in here. Okay. So fill in first, last play, auto switch, auto cycle. Oh, edit fill in 1, 2, 3. Okay. They're up here. It's the only thing I haven't really started looking at yet was fill-ins. You get 4 of them and they're labeled with A, B, C, and D. So you can either push the one you want, I hope. Yeah, so you're still in fill-in. So you could push the one you want to edit and then get down here and edit just like you would with any instrument to create any kind of fill-in. Okay, so that's good to know. We don't need to create one now. And then morphs are just like, everyone can liken it to the Octatrack crossfader because you're actually setting effects in different knob positions in motion. There's a couple ways to kind of play with it. So I'll just stick with that. I could change stuff up later. It's just kind of what I've been beginning and exploring through and seeing how it develops and changes. Anyway, what I wanted to look at was looking at a few either morph ideas or, yeah, talking about morph, because when you go into edit it, there's a couple ways you got to approach this. Either you have to use the C knobs, which relate generally to whatever track you're on. So you go to the track and you turn the C knob to make the morph. The good thing about working in this mode is that you can hit start. You got to be in the edit and make sure you're on one of the morphs to edit. But while you're playing, you can kind of go in here and maybe you want to change some things. And like, okay, no, none of that's working. Like, okay, some of this stuff might work. Getting your decays down or way up. But it's knowing what's already on there. Some of these don't have anything mapped to them quite yet, right? Nice, so it's just the bass line. So the thing about that is it's not really showing you, well, some of it shows you no signs or offset decays and whatnot. But it's really knowing in that pattern what elements are playing. Like I think on my hi-hats, let's get out of the morph edit first. So these are just basic, trying to find something a little busier, but maybe don't have it. We can always make one, but. So let's just say, we'll just do it with these because it works. On these, I think right here is my delay send, right? Is there, and you have your decay, so as is. So that's a common one to edit your morph. Shift. So I know these are the ones. I can't turn these to set the effect. Not in this mode. This is the C mode. So on the open hat, I would open up decay a bit, and then my control, maybe not send it all the way. But let's say I also want to, in this same morph, increase the delay feedback. I have to come over here and I have to press step on accent. What that seems to do is in this morph mode, it activates this top row of you being able to access those to morph, right? As you slide it over, you're going to go to the value you set here. So the first thing I'm on is reverb in the bottom left, so I can say, yeah, I want to always reach for here, but that's not going to do it. I have to see, so when it kicks in, I want the reverb to go up and the time maybe to increase, right? Get really wild. But now I have to use the arrows, increment, decrement arrows. Now I'm on delay. I want full delay. This is kind of a bummer because it only shows percentage. You're going to have to kind of guess on your timing, which, boo, come on, roll and fix it. I know they're working on some stuff. So I expect, all I want for Thanksgiving is the parameter list and a bug fix. Like this should be, honestly, if it's time, give me the flipping time, man. Don't give me a percentage. And then the feedback, that I can understand. So maybe I want the feedback to go almost max. So the nice thing is what you can do is, since it's on, you can play. Right? So you can test it out. Since it's on, you can kind of, once you've made some adjustments, you can slide it over and back and hear what it does. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of a cool effect. I like that. So let's keep that. And also, you go into your, we had the rim shot, I think, doing our snare. So we could just increase the decay on that. And then, I don't know if we could do this knob assign. Can I get into that right now? This is not assigned, so I can set this to also be. Let's get the snappy up. Why not? Okay. So back to editing. So now we can also bring the snappy up. So it's here. Where's that? Okay. So there you go. Just adding things that you want to happen on the morph. And if you're happy with that one, go to the next one and say, okay, this one maybe right here is just the effect on. Oh, see, here I am doing this. I can't do that. I have to use my arrows, delay, Master Effects. There we go. Control 1, not Master Effects. Filter to 50, because that seems to be good. And then maybe just give it a little drive too, right? And that, it doesn't give me an on or off choice. But if you have Master Effects, like the looper is a good one to have with that. All right, we could set that up if you want in a moment. So now we could be in this one, since we're on 2. All right, so you got the high pass. So you can high pass and again, maybe less delay, less level, lots of feedback. Okay. So I think you can got to figure out, I got to change my delay. I think it's in an analog. So regardless, I don't want to keep just diving further and further into that. But that's what you do to create a morph, and the fact that you get these 16 morphs and that stays with your kit. So anytime you change kits, you change morphs. So I don't know if it's going to do a whole lot because, well, it will. If we go to kit, and let's just give it a different one, whatever this one happens to be. This was a kit, right? Let's just choose this one. Let's not. Let's choose. Let's get into further ones here. Some weird ones that might have something, and we'll turn down a little. Let's just call it this one, okay? Doing this one, it has a morph here, so we can see what it does. Not a lot. Just seems to get rid of some of the drums. So let's try a different one. Okay, so this has quite a few. So that one seems like tuned down. It tunes all these down. Tunes up. So this one's kind of nice. What is it? So that has like the hats and everything going, and then lots of decay, minus 50% on the instruments. It's kind of nice because you can break these down and see kind of what they're doing to get this effect of the morph, right? So on this one, the bass drum just has decay down, and it's assigned to decay, and then snare, decay down. Really decay down on everything. It's just a short decay morph. Some of these, I think you gotta do this, go into the, sometimes I think they don't change. Oh, this one has the mix goes over on the bass drum, and yeah. So some of these are pretty default, it seems. Right. Oh, it doesn't really do. Oh, just a little bit. Huh? Not whole. No. Anyway. Okay, guys. I don't want to just keep wandering around almost aimlessly here. I've been doing almost 2 hours. I don't know, I guess. I want to get a little more comfortable and clear-headed. It's getting late over here. Unless there's something else you guys were really specifically wanted to kind of take a look in. I just kind of wanted to touch a little on Morphs and what I've found out, and by going through some of the old, not old, but preset patterns and kits, and just checking them out and seeing what they do. You know, sometimes just the way you've sequenced stuff, the sounds aren't going to give you what you might be expecting. So it's kind of fun to experiment and see what each one's going to give you. Let's see what this one has. Just one on this one. Yep. This has the DJ looper, I bet. Okay. I'll give it another minute or two and then we're going to just call it. Alright, guys? Trying to find ones that have some. I like that one. That one's kind of fun. Now I wonder here. Copy. Let's scroll down and see what we have. We have patterns and kits. That's fine. Patterns and kits. I get that. Copying variations. Track and instrument. So you copy the sequence and the sound. That's fun. I like that all at one go. Just the instrument, which means copying the knob assignments and the sound that is on the track. Layer. So if you have dual layer and you want to copy just one side of it, that's nice. I like that. The track is just a sequence for that track, which is laid down here. Morph. Yeah, so you could copy a morph from one kit. So here's what I want to see. Okay. If I do this, so from that I come down here and I want to go to 65, I think goes on. Dave. No, not Dave. So I think I was on 66. Track. All. Yeah, it's all tracks. That's slot 1. Let's make it slot 3. Enter. Am I sure? Yes, I'm sure. Okay, before we go, what else is there? Morph. Snapshot. Okay, cool. You can copy snapshots. Just one at a time. Alright. Copy a sample. What do you mean copy a sample? Where do you copy it to? I don't get it. Alright, whatever. And song. Copy a song. Okay. A lot of things you could copy in this one. So this morph gives you some fun features going across this. I want to see now in this, because control 3 is 100%. So what is, you know what I'm saying, what is control 3 here? Knob assign, control 3. Delay, send, and filter cutoff, and the balance of the effects. So that'll be interesting using my kit on this now, right? So we go back to 65. 66. Was that on Dave? I was on Dave. Dave! Okay. Anyway, so now this should have that morph effect here. So let's see what it does when we do it. Because now this is our original sounds. But they've reassigned, I believe. I don't think so. So it's doing something to my rim shot. The control, the tune went up 50, and the control for my rim shot, which is the snappy. So those went up. Also, the control, whatever this is here. I don't know, nothing. So it's not doing anything to this. I was wondering if it copied also the knob assignments, but I think it wouldn't, because that would copy a kit or an instrument. That wouldn't copy a morph. But it's cool to copy the morphs. The only thing I see being problematic is like what we see here, is that whatever it's set to, you know what I mean, control 3 to 100%, your control 3 might not be the same as that other kit, right? So, all right. Let's stop on the morphs. Call it a night. Back to, oh, that was pattern 5-2. Let's hear a little 5-1. Let's see what I got going here. This is more of a little weird deep techie house kind of thing. Again, just had the little filter cut off, right? A whole lot happened. I think some of the stuff happens very seldom, but this is where I was just trying to build up some little sections. I think the busiest is D and E. Yeah. Yeah, just some fun, a little more. And this is the experiment. Nothing. Yeah. Yeah. In this one, with the bass drum, since I had the two different bass drums on A and B, again, a 909 analog bass drum and the A808 ACB. So just the 909. That's all I'm doing with the 808 here. The 808's just on these greens and here. But it's with the 909, but it's these green ones that happen, and they don't happen every time. So I treat it almost like a tom as my second kick layer, and it gives those kind of extra. So yeah. Anyway. Couple different ways to kind of take a look and approach the sequencing, like especially with kick drums. I always like those extra little kicks, those ghost kicks, and even just some syncopated ones in there that sit in there. Then add a little shuffle to it, or just send this one, you know, cycle 1 of 1, so it happens all the time. This one's every second time. But I could take this one and just set the start off a little bit so it sits a little closer to that one, so it gives it kind of a little shuffle, a little offbeat. Anyway, I'm getting quieter and mumbling, so I do apologize for that, because you're probably going to be wondering why I'm talking so quietly. It's approaching my bedtime. I did want to get in here and just get in one of these episodes out for everyone, and for myself, just so I could sit here and while I'm learning and exploring, maybe you are with me as well. I appreciate everybody's comments in the chat and tuning in. I'm hoping it helps you kind of get to know this one a little better. Feel free to ask any questions about it. Like, we learned a little bit about resampling. I'll practice more with that. I'll get some different samples loaded up too on the USB. And then also we could take a little look more at the app, you know, and some other ideas. There's not going to be a whole lot more going on. We could look at song mode and editing later. But otherwise, through some of these episodes, we've covered a lot of the functionality. We just haven't really gotten into the creative side too much yet. So hope you could join me for all that kind of stuff. If you guys are still there, Deflux, Wagyu, Wags, Beb, Matey. It was definitely fun to do some exploration, and great to have you in the chat. Great to see you there. And Smells Like Muffins. Hilo misses you, so hopefully you can be back in there one day. And everyone else that was in the chat, well, and I know a few more just joined, just tuning out right now. Feel free to watch the replay. We kind of cover a few things talking about sequencing and layer tracks and all that kind of stuff. Samples. Anyway, everyone have a good day, good night. If you're getting up, have a good morning. Have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee for me. I'll be having one fairly soon here. If you're going out and having a good time this weekend, please have fun, but be safe. I know I sound like a dad just because I am, but have fun. If you got yourself a little drum machine or a little synth or a little studio going on, spend some time with it. Get creative. Don't try and, accomplish a song. Just have a good time for a couple hours. And sometimes that's all you need. Otherwise, I'll stop rambling. I'll let you guys go. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you all soon.